So ridiculous. Hi.
Welcome
to the dialogue.
Welcome to the first annual Halloween episode.
Don't say annual yet. I heard a rule in like newscasting or whatever. You don't call something annual until the second one, because if the first one like is the only one, then it's just awkward.
Welcome to the currently only Halloween episode at the time of recording this of the dialogue.
My name is Borat.
No, that's not the accent I'm doing. Oh shit, guys. Have you been tested, Mr. Punk? Oh shit, we gotta get a mask for this boy.
Now we're all
I tried to
infected.
kiss him.
It's a good thing I always keep a mask in my anus at all times. There you go, buddy. Good as new. Anyway, I gotta tell you, like, doing this podcast has been, it's either a really good thing or a really bad thing for my my self-esteem. Watching myself back, it's definitely interesting. I don't know how often you watch back the episode.
I actually, when I get bored and I'm like, my friends are funny, I feel like having a good laugh, I'll throw on an episode like right before, or not an episode, but like a clip right before bed and be like, oh yeah, because I forget half the shit that we say anyway. Right. And the only thing I wish is that there wasn't a video version, but I understand why.
I kind of feel the same way.
So it's just the visual.
I actually don't
yourself.
mind my voice, because my voice used to be so, and you may think it's high now, but it was so heinously high. Like it. There were videos of me in like 8th, 9th grade, 10th grade even.
Keep talking. You just have an eyelash. It's gonna bother me.
Thank
if I
you.
don't get it.
And like somebody showed a video and I was like, who was that girl in the background? Like I asked who the girl is and they're like, Micah, that's you. And I'm like, hey everyone. So my voice has come a long way and I'm just happy it got to where it is now. So I'm okay with hearing my voice now.
I definitely have like a very like I don't know, sort of love-hate relationship with listening to my voice. I will say I agree with Micah, it's easier for me to listen back to my voice than it is like to watch myself back on video, because then I see every like weird nervous tick I have.
I see just pus and like just oozing out of my face like the whole episode.
It's been so many years watching myself and stuff that like it's not as bad, but I'm also just like,
yeah, you're more used to it than we are.
Kind of, the things that annoy me about myself are things that I don't think anybody would really notice.
I love that this is how we're opening the episode.
Yeah.
Halloween special. What do we hate about ourselves?
Like, I don't know, I'm just more like, oh man, it looks like I'm overthinking everything right there, and then I'm like, I get annoyed about that type of stuff.
What you told me one time is that sometimes in the middle of an episode when you're editing it, you can like tell I'm just like not there. I'm just like,
yeah.
I notice all the jokes that you guys try to make that I don't notice. And I'm like, oh, there's like a whole thing going on, and I was just like, so like never getting to the point.
Hot take. 5 minutes later. Okay,
So here's the thing.
Hot take. 5 minutes later. Okay, enough about my aunt.
My favorite thing is
hot take.
My favorite thing is when you guys are joking and I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, we're like,
yeah.
And he's just over there like,
Anyway, my name's Gage. This is a Halloween episode.
Oh yeah, my name's Kyle.
My name's Micah.
Happy Halloween. It's not Halloween yet, but I mean, if you're listening, it's probably Halloween.
And if you don't celebrate Halloween, happy autumn day.
Happy Fucktober.
If you don't celebrate Halloween,
you don't
go to hell.
Fucktober.
We're gonna be talking about some scary stuff today.
Ooh.
But first, I believe we have movie news to get into.
Yeah.
That was a weird. I've never heard that like octave out of your.
But first,
Ooh.
All right. So,
are you sure you're Gage?
I really want to speak about this, but you do as well.
Dad? Denzel Washington?
See, I think that's funny when people say dad.
Scoutmaster Kevin?
Yeah.
That's from Deadpool 2, a movie that you hate. But anyway, let's get to the.
You delivered it better though.
Chris Pratt. I don't know the whole shtick. I know some of the shtick. So you go ahead and describe the whole
some
shtick.
Context. Because the story goes back. There's some layers here. It's like an onion. This is Shrek.
I like how this is. Anyway.
We got to do a Back to the Future like.
Feel free to add a mark. Anyway.
No, it's fine.
I don't even know if you could see it with the.
All right, let's talk about Chris Pratt, Kyle.
We're just.
I just can't imagine. I'm just imagining Kyle sitting in a beanbag, like butt ass naked now.
Why? Why would you imagine that?
Because it'd be funny.
Me naked is hilarious.
His belly's just like.
Okay. Enough about my hairy belly. Let's get into the news. There's enough horrors we've talked about.
It would look like a child in the womb.
He's just like fetal position.
Stop!
Okay.
I'm sensitive about myself.
I don't know if you guys know kind of the context, but I don't know. A few years ago, apparently, so Ellen Page was on like a, you know who Ellen Page is, right?
Yeah.
She's on a talk show. Or no. Chris Pratt was on the talk show first. And then
talk show?
Talking about, I think it was Conan.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right. And it could have been like Colbert. Yeah, they all blend together, to be honest. Conan's the best, though. Whatever. So he was talking about his church and how he was a Christian and whatever. It wasn't like a huge thing. And then she got on Twitter afterwards and was kind of slamming him for like talking positively about his church and not bringing up the fact that his church is historically anti-gay. So he tweeted back later that like he isn't pro any church. It's not about the church. He's not gonna go out on a limb to defend a church because that's not what religion is about. It's about, you know, your relationship with God or whatever. So he wasn't saying he was saying that she was wrong, basically, that his church opens their doors to everyone.
He specifically said like my church doesn't define who I am in my relationships with people,
which is very important.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very important distinction because we have talked about how, you know, sometimes religion can become a little bit more like political about like churches and stuff, and that's where I think a lot of our issues come
I think a lot of people think of church as like a more of a social gathering than what a church really should be, and I feel like people who I don't know, I just feel like a lot of people have that notion that it's like, oh, it's just a social gathering for like cult members.
Well, yeah, and I think he debunked her point pretty well. All of this kind of adds on to the whole like religion thing, kind of adds on top of when Chris Pratt didn't go into this Zoom meeting that Kamala Harris was in recently with all of the Avengers, and then they just assumed that it was because he wasn't voting for Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or whatever.
Can they do that? Is that allowed? Is he allowed to have an opinion on that? You can be a celebrity and not vote for Biden and fucking... Oh my gosh! This is wrong on so many levels.
Yeah, it's... Yeah. Anyway.
So...
Kill me.
Right. And so what I'm saying is, like, the mix between him not doing that and him being openly Christian and that controversy that happened with Ellen Page and him, because people, you know, are still...
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, it's all just a bunch of assumptions. He's actually never even, like, been open about who he's voting for. He's never even said he's conservative, necessarily. People just assume he is. There's literally, like, I forget who, but I'm sure it's, like, you know, like, places like Vice or whatever, like these you know, these news organizations, they write articles. I swear there's an article out there that's like Chris Pratt, just admit you're conservative already. Jeez. So that's a whole like article.
Hypocrisy in like everything that happens in this world is just ridiculous to me. Where like if a guy doesn't he doesn't want to...
Well, it's Hollywood specifically.
Well, if he doesn't want... I know, but people seem to be like readers and they just seem to be on board with it, and I just don't get it. But, you know, if he doesn't want to be there because he doesn't support that specific political candidate, then for me, that's fine, because it's really hypocritical when any professional sports team wins a championship. It's like custom, it's standard for that team to meet the president. There are so many times where athletes have been like, I'm not going to meet Donald Trump. Fuck that guy. I'm not going to go to meet him with the rest of my team. And everybody's like, okay, all right, good job. And it's just like someone does the exact same fucking thing, but it just happens to be a a Democrat this time, and people lose their shit.
And the difference is he didn't even say anything. He just didn't do it.
And the people who said, they're like,
he might have just not had time. Like, I don't know. Like,
they're literally bullying him because he won't.
Because he has a different opinion.
So I watched some of the Kamala Harris Avengers Zoom meeting.
Oh, you should talk about RDJ too.
Yeah, it was really cringy. And everybody in the comments, like, people who were, like, openly saying that they were, like, voting for Biden and stuff were even like, this is really cringy. Ooh. It just feels like a desperate attempt to get, like, younger people to vote for them.
Which is funny because Kamala Harris said that the people between the ages of 18 and 24 are, like, the stupidest people in America.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that. It's like, you can watch her say it. Go look it up. So.
Yeah.
You're stupid. Vote for me.
They were playing, like, trivia and stuff, and it's like, even if you were voting for Biden, like, why would you want to do that? Like, I don't know. I would not want to be a part of that. I would not, like, who would want to be a part of a Trump trivia Zoom event? Like, that would be, like, lame, you know? Yeah. I don't want to do that. Let's cut the bullshit, you know? It just feels like bullshit and a waste of time, honestly. And like, if all of them wanted to be a part of it, whatever. It's not a big deal, but just because Chris Pratt doesn't want to. Like,
celebrities need to feel like they're doing something important instead of just sitting around their mansions.
Are so brave as telling everyone you're voting for Biden. That is so just, like, out of the norm. It's so brave. I applaud you for doing that.
I mean, the fact that actors pretend that it is the fact that they act like it's courageous and going against the norm to vote Democrat is kind of hilarious.
And then
I will say that.
And then Chris Pratt doesn't even 100% say he's conservative, and people assume he is. And
there's a reason why we do assume people who don't talk about politics are conservative in Hollywood, because everybody who's a liberal says they're liberal, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's why I'm saying it's not courageous to say you're voting for Biden, because everybody is like, if an actor openly votes for Trump or says they're voting for Trump, or at least says they're not voting for Biden, immediately their career could be over. Yeah. That's the world we're living in.
The thing is, he didn't even say anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the
But what I'm saying is, like, as much as I think it's ridiculous that people assume that he's voting for Trump, I understand where those assumptions come from, and it's a matter of whether those assumptions should make you this mad.
I just want to say that, like, throughout all this, I feel like Chris Pratt has definitely been, like, the bigger man, and has so my respect for Chris Pratt is just like...
Well, Robert Downey Jr., like we were saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
my respect for him went way up, too.
I've always kind of assumed Robert Downey Jr. was at least relatively a closeted conservative a little bit. Not like he's in either direction. He does seem like one of those people that's pretty much, like, understanding of everybody. And his, like, Instagram post about Chris Pratt really made me respect him a lot. Because he was even in the
and it was
Zoom
just
chat
defending him,
and he was just like, why are you like giving him this much shit? Brie Larson wasn't even in the thing. Like, what about all these other people that weren't a part of it?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, nobody wants to see Brie Larson in it. So.
I have a question for you. I don't want to go on for too long about this discussion because I know we have a lot to get to. But a lot of people were like criticizing Robert Downey Jr. for defending Chris Pratt because nobody defended Brie Larson when she was getting a bunch of hate online. What is your guys' opinion on that?
Brie Larson deserves it.
Well, okay. Those are two completely different circumstances. Like, Chris Pratt is getting hate because people are making assumptions about his political viewings, and he's basically said nothing. And there's just obviously we've talked about how Hollywood is politically very skewed, especially right now during an election year. I mean, we're like less than a week away from,
Chris Pratt is a likable, humble person. Any interview you see with him, he always tries to,
and it's the difference is Chris Pratt literally did nothing. He's in trouble for something for literally not acting, whereas, like, Brie Larson has gotten a lot of hate for the way she's acted in certain interviews. Still, regardless, I don't think anybody deserves that much hate online unless you're, like, breaking the law. But, yeah. It's just the world we're living in,
I'm just kidding. I'm sure Brie Larson is a nice person.
She came, regardless of her, of whatever view she has, she came across very, what's the word? Not defensive. but very offensive, very combative.
Well,
for no reason. A lot of interviews.
A lot of interviews were like all of the other actors being like, "Oh yeah, this person did it great. This person like pushing the praise elsewhere," and then Brie Larson is like, "What about me? I did all my own stunts."
Well, here's something to think about. I mean, like, when you're defending somebody and you're sticking your neck out for somebody and vouching for somebody like Robert Downey Jr. did for Chris Pratt, you're putting yourself on the line because you think this person's a good person. You are close to them, you trust them, and you think they have, good values or whatever. Maybe they don't. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. doesn't feel the same way about Brie Larson. He obviously cares about Chris Pratt. They are friends, obviously.
Yeah, he didn't make a post about Brie.
I mean, nobody. I mean, like,
especially when Robert Downey Jr. has gone through as many like fucking dark times as like anyone in Hollywood. I'm sure it's a lot easier for him to like empathize with.
Well, that's what I love about Robert Downey Jr. is he's like the only person that I remember ever like defending Mel Gibson. He has to get brought up every episode.
Okay.
So.
Oh, did he defend Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Well, I think the most important thing is like the people who have decided to defend Chris Pratt are people that are acknowledging like
good people.
Like, well, they're not judging Chris Pratt because he has a different political agenda than they do, which I think is like much more adult than all these people on Twitter that are like, oh, well, you can totally tell that it's conservative, so that must mean that he's like a neo-Nazi that has like Mexicans in his basement or whatever the fuck the Twitter people are saying. Just the most ridiculous like stereotype.
He's just got a bunch of like gay people on in chains in his backyard.
Holy fuck! All right, let's move on.
Anyway,
I mean that's what they act like. It might as well be the end of the fucking world. I think we should just assume he is conservative. He's probably, let's just assume he's the most conservative actor in Hollywood. Who fucking cares?
He probably just wants lower taxes. That's it. Fucking relax, all right? Everybody relax.
Like even if he is, it doesn't matter. Fuck you. He doesn't have to vote for who you want him to vote for, okay? When people say, go out and vote. Vote, guys. They're not saying go vote for Trump. No, they're saying vote Biden. Just accept it. Let's just change all of these ads to vote Biden because we know what you mean.
I've seen people post where it's like, I'm seeing all these ads that say go out and vote, but if you knew who I was voting for, you wouldn't tell me to.
This became a much larger discussion.
Okay, really quick. I told you this a while ago. It's so interesting that like a decade or two ago, when it's like, who are you voting for? And it's like, oh, that's private. It's like my own thing. Like, Yeah. And like now we're like, who are you voting for?
Well,
not Biden. Kill yourself.
I have a theory of why that is, but I want to move on because we would spend too much time talking about this. Anyway.
Well, now it's if you don't say who you're voting for, we're gonna cancel you.
Now that we've divided our audience into the 14 pieces.
Yeah. Just be respectful. That's all we ask. If you vote for Biden, great. If you vote for Trump, great. I don't care who you vote for.
Just everybody.
I mean, I do a little bit, but like...
I'll be honest, if the roles are reversed and it was a Trump Avengers meeting and all the Avengers were a part of it except for Brie Larson, I don't care. Go vote who you... I don't give a fuck. Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
All right, maybe we should move on before we... All right.
Yeah, this will just go on forever.
All right, so this was interesting. Is, the Snyder Cut for Justice League?
I do know the Snyder Cut for... Yeah, yes.
The
Snyder Cut.
The Snyder Clit.
The Snyder Clit.
Okay, this is really interesting because he had nothing to do with the original whatsoever, but Jared Leto is coming back to refilm as the Joker for some scenes, which is weird to think of, like... Suicide Squad, Jared Leto.
It's weird to think
in Justice League.
It's weird to think they're still shooting scenes for a movie that came out like 2-3 years ago.
I know, but it's the Snyder Cut. But what do you? I mean, people are saying this is Jared Leto's opportunity to like show that he can be a good like Joker. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like. I mean, I'm definitely interested in watching the Snyder Cut. I think we talked about the Snyder Cut before. And if Jared Leto's going to be in it for a little bit, I mean, cool. I wasn't the biggest fan of him as the Joker.
I hope he can prove us wrong. I genuinely do, because a lot of people didn't like his performance, and I hope he's able to be like, see, there was something here.
I mean, I think how much you're excited for this really relies on how much you were excited about, like, the previous Suicide Squad installment and the Batman v Superman. If those movies are like your Jim Jamboree, if you're fucking they really jingle your nuts around like real nice, then hey man, you're probably excited for this. But like if you're like me, who's like,
Trick or treat,
you might,
teeth,
yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on it?
I don't really have any thoughts because I don't really care a whole lot. But if they're gonna have him in the movie, like I just hope there's a point to it. I guess.
Yeah, and that it's not just like thrown in for all the hot topic people.
Because I'm kind of wondering like what is all the hot topic. Yeah. Pretty much.
Dr. Quinzel, this beautiful hugga.
That's actually pretty good. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Jim Carrey.
You don't want no beef. You don't
want no beef. You want no beef.
You good?
That might be like the worst line in history, to be honest.
What? You don't want no beef?
Jesus Christ.
All right, so I guess that's all for that.
Yeah.
Okay, next was, did you guys see Tom Holland's picture for Nathan Drake?
I did, and I will say I think he resembles the character a little bit more than I was expecting, but I still would have preferred somebody older.
It's a prequel. I called it. I was like, everybody's like, he's too young. I was like, it's a prequel, guarantee you.
Was that even in the question?
I mean, it was.
Oh.
It was like officially.
I guess I kind of just assumed it
I mean, I did too, and a lot of people were like, oh no, but it was.
Oh no.
Okay, can I say
But it
though,
is a prequel.
now that we've seen The Devil all the time, I'm not as like, oh, that just seems like they're just casting because he's
Yeah.
a Marvel. He's in Marvel.
Yeah.
Like it actually. Okay, well maybe he
He can do something with it.
The only thing I am worried about is I don't know if you've played the Uncharted games.
like little bit.
Nathan Drake is like a very charismatic guy.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. And I'm not saying Tom Holland isn't charismatic, but I just don't know if he can do like that.
It's very
Like-
specific.
like
Charming,
like
charming and dicky a little bit, like just kind of like
it's like an
Robert Downey Jr.-esque in a way. Like
Okay.
I don't know if he can do that. I don't know if you guys saw the Nathan Fillion short film.
I have seen that.
Fucking that guy is perfect for that
Yeah.
role, and I'm just hoping. I mean, he could be doing his own thing, but I don't know.
What I'm hoping, this is kind of a weird comparison, but like with Harry Potter, you kind of saw them grow up as the movies went on and become
Right.
the adults. What I'm kind of hoping is they're starting so young so you can see him become that grizzly man.
I think
he
I read
is.
something like that. They are kind of.
That's I kind of dig that idea.
I like it. I like that idea a lot, but my fear is that I mean, the thing is, I don't have any faith in video game movies whatsoever at this point because they've given me no reason to
Yeah.
have any faith. And I think they're almost shooting too big in this case. Like, I almost feel like they should...
This is probably the most...
I think they're almost thinking too big right now. And they just need to... We just need, like, one good video game movie. And we haven't gotten that yet.
This is probably the most excited I've ever been for a video game movie. You know, it actually seems to have some promise.
Do you know who's writing / directing it?
Tom Holland. I don't know.
Okay.
Also, this is really stupid, but there's like a controversy
I'm gonna look it up.
because like in the picture that they showed, his shirt was like tucked in instead of like untucked.
Oh my god.
And
The
people were
really
went as far as to be like, him having his shirt untucked is like the whole point of his character. It's supposed to show. Like people were like
Get the fuck
pissed
outta
off
here.
that his shirt was tucked in. Like he's supposed to be this like rugged character, and it's just like.
I mean, I saw
the
a
whole
side by
point.
side, and I mean, there's definitely differences.
I mean, it's gonna happen with the
Okay.
movie, but that's not the whole point of
So
his
the
character.
guy who's directing this also directed Zombieland, Double Tap, and Venom.
He did the first Zombieland.
All right, so I'm a little nervous.
He did?
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually like
Oh,
the
okay.
Zombieland movies. I'm not a huge fan of Venom.
All right. Well, if he did the first Zombieland, I have a little bit more. 30 minutes or less Zombieland. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know.
I didn't know that.
All
right.
Speaking of directing,
I think it's had a couple different directors. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I'm excited, but I'm also
apprehensive.
yeah. I don't know if I can really. I'll just have to see the movie. You know.
The Uncharted game that I've played the most is the fondly remembered PS Vita one-off,
Okay.
and I played like 20% of it.
I played for like 10 minutes on my grandpa's like PS3.
So
like,
arguably probably the worst one, I'm sure.
I played the first three. I haven't played the last one.
I really want to play them. All right, so I'll move on to the next one.
You guys remember the PS Vita? Of course you don't. Nobody bought it.
I still have a PSP. I feel cool. So for Creed 3, they're having Michael B. Jordan, who stars in Creed 3. They're having him direct it. So, which, I don't know.
I wonder why they're not getting the original director back. I wonder if he
they
doesn't
had
want to do
they
it.
had a different director for the first and the
No,
second.
I know, but like I don't know why. I don't know.
Makes me think maybe Michael B. Jordan had a very specific idea for the third one, and the studio was like, okay, shit, you want to direct it? Fuck it, dude.
I mean, if anybody knows the character like that well, it'd probably be Michael B. Jordan. I'm just worried because, as far as I know, I don't think he's had any directing experience. So
I also wouldn't have mind if like Sylvester Stallone directed it, but
that would be
Has
interesting.
he directed any of the Rocky movies?
He directed like 3 of them, I think.
Okay. I'm not super familiar with them.
I've watched them all. Very good, except for 5. 5 fucking sucks.
didn't he write all of them?
I'm not sure.
I know he wrote the first one.
I feel like this franchise has been rebooted like 3 times.
Actually, no.
Really?
No, it's never been rebooted. It's all.
What about that movie called Rocky Balboa?
That was a continuation.
Yeah, it
it
was
went
good.
Rocky 5, and then the sequel is just Rocky Balboa. They just were like, let's not call it Rocky 6.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
all
okay.
like a.
Continuation.
Yes,
Yeah,
sequels,
that's what's
basically.
really cool. Is like even with
I
like
really like how they tied the. Creed
well, again,
movies in.
I said rebooted, but I feel like
Right.
reboot is kind
I
of
mean,
like
soft
a soft
reboot.
whatever you
I
want.
mean,
Yeah.
Creed is like a spin-off at most, I guess, like a sequel spin-off series. So,
Kinda,
but
yeah.
they've kept the continuity throughout, which I can really respect, especially considering not all of them were the best. And
It's kind of like the I know this is a video game, but like the God of War reboot, where it's like it's technically takes place in the same universe, but you know it's a different type of game.
Yeah.
None of you guys is fine. Don't worry.
never
about
played God of
I
War.
mean, neither.
it. Me neither.
All right, our last
Oh.
our last bit of news is Scarlett Johansson is going to be the bride in The Bride of Frankenstein, and it's a Halloween episode, so we gotta
Oh yeah.
bring it up.
So I didn't know there was going to be a
Oh,
bride.
and it's A24 and Apple are doing this
Didn't I
together.
think Apple just did an A24 movie actually? Also, like on Apple TV.
Did they?
I think so.
I think you're right.
I know at one point Apple was thinking about buying like Netflix and A24 and a bunch of other movie studios. So I find that interesting. I don't know if that's still happening, but I know they were talking about it. But I could definitely see in the future, like Apple being the next company that starts
thinking that
buying
too.
out a bunch, and it ends up being Apple and Disney.
Well, did you see that like
Because they're the only company that I can think that could afford to buy a company like Netflix.
Did you see that Netflix and Apple were like this is kind of in the same discussion. We're like trying to buy the new James Bond movie.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I heard that James Bond, or the creators of James Bond, were like trying to sell it for like $600 million. So they were trying to, and they were trying to sell it to Netflix and Apple, and they were like, yeah, no, not for $600 million, bud. So
Well, yeah, I guess maybe Apple TV could be one of the new big.
yeah.
I don't know how big they are now.
I just wish
but-
it was on more stuff, you know? Because
I
I,
mean,
feel like
they did
it's
that.
very-
They did that series. Didn't you watch one of theirs?
Yeah.
The Defending Jacob, which I haven't seen yet. I want to watch. Other than that, I can't think of anything that's on their streaming platform that like has been. I mean, I know there was that the morning show, which is essentially like I don't know. It's very much like
Wasn't there... was it The Wolf of Snow Hollow that was...
No, we just watched it on Apple TV.
Oh, okay.
No, I bought it on Apple TV. It wasn't exclusive though.
Okay, I
No.
see.
So, A Bride of Frankenstein? with
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how like anything about. I mean, you've seen the original, so.
I have. I'm like holding like a sneeze, so I'm like trying to think and talk, and I'm just like.
All right. Well,
I've seen the original. It's not my favorite Frankenstein movie, but you know.
Well, I'm kind of
it's
surprised they
solid.
didn't make like a normal Frankenstein movie first, and then,
Yeah.
because you would think that would be like almost like.
I mean, David Harbour is like.
Isn't there like a weird copyright thing though with Frankenstein where like Universal owns it,
I don't
and
know.
so like you can't do the Frankenstein that has like the bolts in the neck, or else it's infringing on. That's why every non-Universal Frankenstein movie has been like some weird.
I
Like,
have no idea.
I don't know. There's something like
Tom
that.
Holland is Frankenstein.
It's a young Frankenstein, and we
Yeah,
watch him
it's a
grow
prequel.
up.
Hell yeah. I don't think that's right. Okay. I'm gonna sneeze too.
I know. All right, so that's all the
You
news.
know?
Yeah, I do know.
Hey, speaking of Halloween, Bride of Frankenstein, like horror. Speaking of horror stuff, We watched
Garfield: The Tale of Two Kitties. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
It is so scary. It's the scariest movie I've ever
When
seen.
Garfield comes out and then he poops on the screen,
Right.
that's when I shit.
Bill Murray.
That doesn't
Ooh la
happen.
la.
I believe we also watched the Evil Dead series.
Rip.
Even the 2013 one.
Yep. Rip my attention span.
I watched.
I know Mike having to sit through an hour and 30-minute movie.
I'm sorry, but like,
They're the shortest movies of all time. I feel
and they
like.
feel so fucking long.
Oh my. Okay.
It's just the pacing.
Anyway,
it's
before-
just the pacing.
Just
Gage.
that first half.
Before Micah falls asleep, we should probably like talk about our like overall thoughts of the series. Or what do
Yeah.
you think? Like a quick like overall discussion.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I had seen the original The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. I had seen them a couple times before. And I just recently watched Evil Dead like at 3 in the morning before before this point,
Oh
like
my
last
gosh.
minute.
How much sleep do you have, brother?
Oh no, I got a decent amount of sleep, but regardless, so I very much, I don't know. I think it's complicated. We'll get into it.
Okay.
I don't know if I can really sum up my thoughts.
I was severely disappointed, but I did like Army of Darkness a bit. Out of all of them,
You hadn't seen any of them.
I hadn't seen any of them, and out of all of them, Army of Darkness is the only one I'd want to own.
I knew it was gonna be Army of Darkness.
I had already seen all of them, but my opinion has actually changed. Altered a little bit. What I will say is I do feel like the franchise gets better and better, and well, I don't even know if that's true. It's kind of hard. This is kind of it's a hard franchise or series to really put your finger on because it is so wonky and different with each installment, and it's doing different things with each one. And there's things that I like about one that like there's things I like about each installment, but none of them kind of really do all of those things in one movie. They're all
Right.
doing their own different thing. So, like, there's just things I like in each one, and it's, a part of me wishes we got, like, the perfect...
You could argue that's basically the Stars TV show that came out.
You could.
Ash versus Evil
Because
Dead.
they tried to combine.
Yeah, you could.
I literally just had a realization, and I don't know why I've never had this thought in my head before. I think I literally just don't like horror
Movies at all.
Yeah, fuck movies. I don't like horror movies that are based around gore, because people that are like, oh man, that's so disgusting, oh that's horrifying. I don't, like, I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like this whole series, like you guys were like really disturbed by like the gore horror, and the whole time I was like, this whole movie is just like,
I only really was in the newest one.
I know,
Yeah.
but like even for like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like, oh this is disgusting, this is horrifying, and I was like, all right, people's limbs fall off. Is that like the whole point? Is
Are
like,
you saying I said that, or are you just saying people in general?
like on Letterboxd, everyone on
Okay.
Letterboxd was like, oh, it's disgusting, and every time I'm like, okay, so their limbs fall
They
off,
say it
cool.
like that,
Their
specifically.
limbs fall off, cool. Like, what else? What's the point? Like,
To enjoy yourself. To have fun.
I don't though. I'm just like, oh my gosh, my ankle is coming off the bone. Whoa! Like, where's the interesting part? I don't know. I'm just weird.
Okay.
I think that's why I liked Army of Darkness the most, because there was a lot more to it than just like, I mean, just the last Evil Dead specifically, but there was a lot more to it than just like gore horror, you know?
I mean, I definitely agree that, like, this is not, if you're looking for, like, deep character development, and this is not the series for you.
You think I look for deep character development? Come on. Come on.
I don't know.
It's kind of gay.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you definitely get the feeling that the movies are kind of just like setting their own ground rules as they go on.
Yeah.
You know, like page by page as they're
Well,
writing
okay.
it.
I think it's also important to distinct the
Yeah.
the three originals and the
It's
like,
also
the remake.
Well, and it's also kind of important to distinguish the first one from the second two, and then the newest
Right.
one from the rest.
I talked about this already, but not on the podcast. Of like, this is one of those rare instances where you seeing all the movies in succession, it actually makes less sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, continuity-wise, because they end up retconning stuff all over the place. And
At the beginning of every single one, they're like, yeah, this kind of happened, but
do you
like,
want... There's a reason behind that, actually. I don't know if you know, but, like, specifically, I know for, like... So, the first one, like, was basically, like, an independent film. Like, very... Like, you know, it was just people working with no pay and, like, long hours, and it was just a very scrappy, messy made movie. But, like, I guess whatever company ended up picking up for distribution at the time was different for the one that picked it up for the second one. So they technically, when they made this, they didn't have the rights to their own movie in the second one, so they had to...
So they had to, like, almost be like,
Yeah.
last time on The Evil Dead, this actually happened, not this.
But it's also made for someone who's never seen, who might have never seen, so it's very weird.
That is super weird.
Yeah.
Did the same thing happen with Army of Darkness? Cause
Yeah,
because
Army of Darkness is a Universal movie.
that is so
So
weird.
all three movies...
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
What about the reboot? Is that
Well,
also by a different...
I think that's a...
Or not reboot, but remake.
It's a... I forget what studio, but yeah, it's
So
some
every
other-
single one was a different studio?
Right. I mean, eventually they bought the rights back for some. I think even as far as the new TV show that's out, they were able to get the rights for 1 and 2, but still weren't able to use footage from Army of Darkness.
Strange.
So it's very interesting. But there are people online that have like fans that have taken all three movies and like made a supercut of them, so it makes the most
I'd
sense.
love to see that.
Which is really cool. But yeah, so if you've never heard of these movies for whatever weird reason, I don't know. How would you describe
Well,
the
do we
first one, at
want to
least?
just kind of
Go one by one?
jump into, like, start the spoiler discussion now, even though I feel like there's nothing we can really spoil,
Yeah.
like, just going
Yeah.
forward? I mean, like, these movies, like, we could literally break down everything that happens in these movies, and it wouldn't really ruin them, because there's not a whole lot of reveals or anything. But yeah, so, like, I don't know how you... I mean...
The first one is the most different, I feel like. Well, I don't know. The last one is too, because this
the
one...
same general concept.
Because it's going the least for comedy, and it's just trying to be a straight horror movie. And
I mean, there are like moments of
Well,
comedy.
right,
Sometimes
right.
intentional, sometimes unintentional.
Right. There are moments of it, but you can tell it's way less the purpose than the
Yeah.
second and third one.
No, I agree.
So this one seems to be coming across more as a straightforward slasher 80s horror movie, and it reminded me a lot of Friday the 13th. And I didn't like Friday the 13th either, so maybe that's...
I don't know. I don't know if I definitely wouldn't call it a slasher movie, but like it's sort of I mean, it's definitely a series or a concept where like the rules are kind of like they don't really matter too much. They're pretty loosey goosey. That's not really what it's about. It's sort of like seeing crazy shit happen. I've seen the first one once, and I tried to rewatch it before we did this. And I got through like 30 minutes, and it's just I find that the first one's the hardest for me to revisit because the second one is basically like it, but every aspect of it is like better executed. I think for the first one, the story behind how it was made is like far more interesting for like a modern 2020 like Gen Z can't stop staring at their phone type audience like myself. So yeah, like I said, I think the first one. I don't know how much you guys know about how much was made, but there's like a ton of. I can't even remember all the crazy stories, but like how like people were injuring themselves on set because they didn't have any stuntmen. They were just doing it themselves.
I should have looked into it before
Yes.
this.
There's a great video for anybody watching. There's a great video by a guy named. There's a YouTube channel called Good Bad Flicks who does like a really good like rundown of the making of the first Evil Dead movie. It's super interesting and talks about like the type of budget they had and what they had to do, and like there's I know there's like shots where like they couldn't get actors for certain days, so it's like they had like a stand-in or like so there's just lots of crazy shit like that. I know like practical effects wise, I mean, what you see is what you get. And I think that's the most interesting part of this is like throughout the whole series, there's pretty much no CGI. Even in the most recent one, it's very, very minimal. And they tried to do as much in camera as possible, which is...
I actually liked the first one more this time watching it.
Okay.
I think it's... easily, like, by far the hardest one to get through.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of like, all right, you know, like,
Yeah.
it definitely, you feel that runtime more, I think, because it takes a long time to get going, it feels like, and I don't know, it kind of feels like it doesn't really know what it is yet, and I mean, that's kind of where the second one comes into play. It kind of, like, embraces more of what it is.
Yeah.
But I kind of enjoyed it more than the first time, and I'm not really sure why. I just think that, like, having seen the newest one before it, like, I can kind of see, because I think it's definitely fair to say the newest one takes the most information, or takes the most inspiration from the original film.
Right.
And it was just kind of cool to see, like, the new movie compared to the original, and you know, because they're definitely more companions. Like, the second two are.
I did find it interesting how, even though I know we're kind of jumping around all over the place, but the new Evil Dead, even though it's trying to do its own thing and it's not trying to be like, you know, it's trying to take itself more seriously, there were still like it's definitely some homages to, like, the original, like kind of like campy attitude of it. Was definitely a lot more subtle, but like it's like some of the camera angles they use,
Tree rape.
Some of the tree rape. Yeah. Yeah, so the first one is tree rape, which is
And the second one is tree rape, and the fourth one is tree rape.
The second one is tree rape?
I don't remember the second one.
The second one, she just kind of gets dragged away by the tree branches.
Oh.
They don't really show anything.
Okay.
But
Sorry, no tree rape in the second one.
yeah.
So how are we doing this? Are we going to go one by one, or do you just want to talk about all of them in, like, one big fat discussion?
I don't know.
I'm okay with jumping around
Okay.
right
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
The second one was the only one that I had seen before this, but it was probably a decade ago, so I remembered literally nothing.
When did you watch the second one? How old were you?
Maybe not exactly a decade ago. I might have been like 12 or 13 or something.
Under what circumstances? Did you seek it out yourself, or was that like?
My older brother was like, "Oh man, you gotta watch this movie. It's so good." And so we just sat down and watched it one day at my old house. So.
Okay.
And I remember, which is so strange, I remember as like a 12 or 13-year-old like liking it. I was like, "Damn, that was pretty good." And like for some reason now I don't like it.
I mean, I definitely think I was the most into these movies like in high school. And I think that's kind of like the perfect age of, like, you know, not that they're made for teenagers, but it's definitely like.
Sometimes I feel like I see movies too late. Like I've missed that like age range it was going for.
I know what you mean, but like, you know, just the whole like body horror stuff. And I think the most impressive thing for me is just like I just love the atmosphere of these movies. You know, I love the vibe, I love the tone.
Yeah.
I love the, like, you know, the majority of these movies are very like, you know, you can't always call it like a flat out comedy. Well, you might be able to call Army of Darkness a straight comedy.
Yeah.
That's probably the closest to that. But like, you know, like as far as like
that one's barely horror.
1 and 2, 2 is specifically, I feel like, is very, you know. I mean, it's fucking funny. I mean, I know you made the Three Stooges comparison, but like, Sam Raimi has specifically said on record that like Three Stooges was like a huge inspiration.
Especially for Army of Darkness.
There was a part where I think there was like a detached hand, and like he went like this, and the hand was like this, and
there was even like sound effects.
I mean, do you remember he had like the hot stove, and he literally takes a spatula?
Yeah,
it's
that was
so goofy.
Army of Darkness is great, and I honestly thought, because I heard, I think you said that it was like The Cabin in the Woods took like huge inspiration from this series, which it
felt like. I don't know.
Well, I definitely 100% agree, which is interesting. So I was really expecting to like these movies a lot more, because I love Cabin in the Woods.
And I haven't seen.
And Cabin in the Woods is like obviously like a comedy horror like type thing. I mean, would you consider it comedy horror? So it's so interesting, because I was like, maybe I just don't like comedy horror, but I really like Cabin in the Woods. So I don't know. I just don't know.
I mean, Cabin in the Woods has, I would say, more going on than. I mean, like we've said, like the Evil Dead movies are very straight. They're pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think I don't know. For me, I think that's what's fun about these movies, and that's part of the charm. Is that, especially in the first one, like, It's like, yeah, you might see like a wire here or two, or like it's, you know, even if it looks fake, you're just like, I don't care. It's like it's part of it's fun.
Yeah.
It's part of the charm.
It's fun.
It's the second one I think knows what it is way more than the first one.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And it's more embraces more of the comedy.
And they let Bruce Campbell loose.
I think
Yeah.
you guys hyped me up a little too much for it because
Maybe.
I think that might also be an issue because you guys, I was expecting a lot funnier because you guys were like, oh, this one, it's so funny, it's, you know, straight.
Right.
And
I mean, they're not like jokes. They're more like gags.
So I was expecting like to laugh a lot more, and I think I was just let down in
I think
that
you
regard.
need to like control your expectations sometimes, because I think sometimes you blame it on everybody else, but like I don't know, sometimes I'm thinking you're expecting like to a movie to be your favorite movie every time, and then I don't know,
if
maybe
that's
just
necessarily true.
I mean, you say like your expectations were really high, but it's like maybe just lower them. I don't know. Maybe
Well,
just
it's okay for most movies.
We have been talking about watching these.
Yeah, for most movies.
Well, that's not our fault. I mean, that was a hazard of like.
For most
not getting
movies,
around
I
them
say
last year.
pretty neutral and open-minded, and then the middle. For most things, I'm just like, you know, it could go either way. But
Yeah.
when you guys like specific movies hype something up and are like always talking about it, and it's like, oh, it's so good, I love it. But like, it's a little hard to not be like, oh shit, maybe this is like.
But what I'm saying is that's not. I mean, I guess you're not saying this, but I'm making sure that this isn't like that's not the movie's fault. You know what I mean? Like, because your expectations were so high, it doesn't mean the movie sucks. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but what I'm saying is maybe watching them again through a new lens. Because I mean, I think we all know this. Like watching movies with low expectations, you'd be surprised what you can like.
If it makes you feel any better, I have a very strong feeling that if I rewatched all of these, my feelings would be the same.
Yeah, I'm not saying they would. I'm just you know.
So it's not.
I can speak.
It's not like
personally
you
that-
guys like ruined my experience or anything, because I'm pretty sure my like I would feel the
me,
same.
I have like high expectations sometimes. Like for Tenet, for instance, you know, we were talking about our expectations for that, and it's like still though, like I acknowledge that like this is still like a good movie. It's just like expectation wise,
as a Christopher Nolan movie. Yeah, I think everybody kind of felt that way.
And I mean, the Evil
honest.
Dead movies are like very highly praised and considered like cult classics
But
by like a lot of people, and honestly more so than us.
I feel like I mean, you are right, but it's also like before I was familiar with the Evil Dead movies.
Sorry.
They're definitely not what you expect. Like, you don't expect them to be
No.
funny if you don't know anything about it. You just hear people saying
You kind of go in expecting like the scariest movies ever.
right. Oh, well, I mean, I think the first one was, for the time, people were fucking mortified.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I swear to God, I heard some sort of thing about like when it first came out, like people were fainting and stuff. But I mean, this came out in what, like the 70s,
I think you might
80s?
be thinking of The Exorcist. I heard that was like a thing about The
They
Exorcist.
say
Well, I think they say that
for
a
like
lot.
every
That's
fucking...
true.
Oh, and
Yeah.
even like the newest movie, like I don't know if you remember like the poster. It said like there's quotes on it, like basically saying it's the scariest movie of all time ever made, and like they fucking hyped that shit up.
I mean,
and it didn't ruin the movie, like those expectations, but like as a person who loves the new movie, still I'm like, it's not like that scary.
Well,
It's just-
what fucking movie like could ever hold like you?
Yeah.
You set those expectations.
But I mean, like
it's,
what
you
I'm
know.
saying is, it's not even really. I mean, I guess it is kind of, you can say it is objectively scary to some degree, but like it doesn't seem that scary. You know what I mean?
I mean, we just watched Sinister, and you saw like anytime I was actually scared, I was like, oh fuck.
Well, I mean, Sinister is
But-
more like. I feel like Sinister is more objectively scary than the Evil.
Yeah,
Evil
but
Dead.
there was not a single moment during the last Evil Dead movie where I was like, oh shit, oh fuck. Like I would never felt a sense of like panic.
I feel like the
being
Evil
scared.
Dead series, like you could say this about all of them, they're just more about like the adventure of it, kind of,
More
and just
atmosphere,
like more
fun,
atmosphere and just
pulpy
kind of
kinda,
not even necessarily being fun, because I don't think you could kind of call the new movie fun, as gross and violent as it is, but it's more like just like a gore violent fest in a way,
Right.
and I don't know, it's not really about it like scaring you. At least that's how I perceive them. I mean, I guess there can be people like Sid was actually pretty scared watching the new Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I was like, it's interesting. I'm not having that experience.
I'll be honest, like I don't get scared by movies very easily, but
Well, I don't know. I've seen you in some movies, buddy, and you literally like grab your heart and you're like, ah! Like pretty.
that doesn't happen often though.
Anyway,
Regardless.
When you get scared though, it's pretty fucking hilarious. I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
go ahead.
all right. Fucking, I was just gonna say, yeah, like after I watched Evil Dead at like 4 a.m. in the dark,
Okay.
like after I went to the bathroom and I was like, oh shit, my heart's racing. Oh fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just comes down to me.
Well,
not...
the newest
I mean,
one
we
is
did
intense.
watch it in the middle of the day. I did
Well,
say
that doesn't have anything to do with it.
I mean,
me.
but for me, I feel there's a sense to it where it feels a little more real if it's at night. I don't know. If
I mean, I get what you mean, but I think for me, I don't find like the whole like Book of the Dead like worlds they're setting up and like the lore, everything that is going on. I don't find that scary. So like, I'm not gonna find the movie scary. I'm not saying that's a flaw. I'm just saying that's how I perceive the movies. They're very much more about like entertainment for me.
I mean, I definitely think the newest one is the most like legitimately like has some spooks in it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's literally I mean, again, like it's way more. It's doing a lot of the stuff that the first one did, just like
modern and amplified.
extremely more realistic and gritty.
The Evil Dead,
because it has the budget to do so.
The remake reminds me of Green Room.
Okay, well, I haven't seen Green Room.
Okay, well, what I mean about that, if you've seen Green Room, is it's more about.
I know it's very violent.
It's more about the violent, surreal craziness of it. I mean, it definitely gets intense. Both movies have an intensity factor.
Right.
But I wouldn't call Green Room scary. I wouldn't call The Evil Dead scary. They're just stressful and they're angry. And I love that about both movies. They're just crazy and angry and yeah, they have like a, especially Green Room, like a garage band feel to them.
Yeah.
Very gritty.
I like the originals, particularly 2. 2's the one that I find myself revisiting. And even Army of
I think
Darkness.
you could say 2 is like the best out of the trilogy. I don't know. Like even though like would you
Although a lot of people like Micah prefer Army of Darkness.
Okay, but like do you think Army of Darkness is a better movie or do you like it more than Evil Dead 2? I'm just curious. Like I'm not going to hold you on
It's really hard to not be biased though.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
It's definitely the least like of a horror
I
movie.
find Army of Darkness to be the better movie, but I mean that's probably just pure bias.
I mean, Bruce Campbell is definitely the best in Army of Darkness. That's where he like the character of Ash like actually like grew legs, and that's like how he's portrayed like after that movie.
Would you say Army of Darkness, because we always fuck with you about this, like how you like the first 30 minutes of a movie, but I will say I think Army of Darkness, like that first like 30 minutes, it starts out so strong.
It does.
And then it kind of like loses me.
It does.
I don't know if you agree.
It does. I mean, it loses me a little bit by the end, but I still think it's strong enough throughout to.
Once you get to the beginning of like I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but like once you get to the beginning of like the whole like Deadite medieval, them preparing you kind of realize, oh yeah, this is all this movie has going for it.
I was a little worried because I generally don't like movies that take place in like that time period where it's like medieval or like ancient Greece or like I don't know, just time periods.
That's a red flag for me too.
Yeah, I don't find all that interesting. So I was really worried. So maybe that's why I liked it, because I had low expectations because like, fuck, it's taken in medieval times. And then I was like, oh, shit.
I also think Sam Raimi has a very, very specific way of how he moves the camera and how he directs stuff. And sometimes in a very like he's known for his most like his Dutch angles specifically. Like everybody talks about like his style and like when Sam Raimi directs a movie, more often than not, you know it's Sam Raimi. Like
his fucking Spider-Man movies are gold. I'm sorry.
I mean, they are. I mean, do you remember some of that shit? Like that scene in Spider-Man 2 where like Doc Ock, the famous, where his hands like that scene should make a lot more sense now after watching these movies. Like
the hand on the hands like scratching on.
I think it was funny because I remember watching Spider-Man 2 and I was like, damn, guys, I think Sam Raimi should make a horror movie.
He was known for horror.
I know, and then you guys were like, Evil Dead? And I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, it's campy, but it's fun, but it also doesn't you can still like take it seriously a little bit. It's like that perfect balance.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, I like the Evil Dead 2 out of the trilogy the most, even though like that first 30 minutes of Army of Darkness kind of like kind of wins me over there for a little bit, and then by the end I'm like, yeah, Evil Dead 2's the
There are
better
some
movie.
things in Army of Darkness I wish like hadn't really happened, like the little people with the forks, like, you know what I mean, when there's little small, and I was like, oh, okay.
It goes a little bit too far for me on the comedy, to be honest. I think Evil Dead 2 has that best. It's funny because it's like the transition period, and I think it's the best.
I think Army of Darkness is almost like its own thing. It's kind of the black sheep of the of the series.
The perfect movie out of the whole series would have been a mix. Would have been the non-existent movie that came out between Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Because if there was that progression, then I think that was like the perfect middle ground. You know what I mean?
I think so.
But I mean, like, what's funny too is I like visually, I enjoyed watching Evil Dead the most, the original out of the three, because I don't know, it has this like style to it, even though like it's way more amateur. Like I
think that's part of it.
I enjoyed
all
the look of it more.
Low budget 80s movies look the same to me. Like, and I just
Yeah, but what I liked about the original Evil Dead is not necessarily just the well, I mean, there's the camera work by Sam Raimi, which I don't think you compare to really anything. Like Friday the 13th and stuff isn't shot like that at all. I mean, like, it's more like the camera quality, I guess.
Yeah.
And like the colors. But what I like about the Evil Dead is like the location of it too, with just like it's so foggy and wet.
And we talked about this too, like there's light sources coming from like they don't make any sense, but it doesn't fucking matter because it looks awesome. Yeah. Like when they step out of the cabin and then there's just these beams of light. Like, where's that light source coming from? Or like the light coming from the sky that's supposed to be the moon, and it's like super bright, and it just looks like they fucking like just took a fog machine and they just like went to town with it. But you don't care because it looks awesome. But it looks awesome in like the same way that like going to like a Halloween party.
It reminds me of Steven Spielberg a little bit, how he always has that fog light.
He is known for his beams. His beamy boys.
Man, people just know me for my beams.
My beams.
My beans. So
can I ask you guys kind of a little bit of an off-topic question? What is, like, personally for you guys, like, the scariest movie you've ever seen? To you personally. Like, the one that scared you the most.
The first one that came to mind is, you're either going to agree...
Well, I mean, it's subjective.
Or you're either going to go, like, really, but, like, the Blair Witch Project, I feel.
Okay.
That is literally my answer.
Wow, that is so interesting. That sounded like a really sarcastic wow, but
well,
it
that's
wasn't.
the thing about the Blair Witch. It's like you either were like, "Holy shit, that was scary," or you were like, "What the fuck was that about?"
Yeah, that was me.
Nobody has an in between.
Yeah, you're so right.
Mine are really interesting because I feel like when I tell people mine, they're like, "What?" But like literally, there are two that always come to mind. I actually stopped Paranormal Activity 3 in the middle of the movie and asked someone to watch it with me. I don't know why, but for some reason, movies like that get me. But, like, it's weird because Blair Witch Project is also kind of a found footage-y, like, type thing. But you don't see anything. I think that's the difference. And then the other one, it might top Paranormal Activity 3, but I'm not sure. It's called Host. It came out this year. And it's like, it's like 54, 56 minutes in there. It's really fucking short, and it's on Shudder. You should give it a watch. But for some reason, man,
I find it interesting. I think there's definitely an interesting discussion about like how you seem to be more scared by stuff that you see and me engage, or more scared by what we don't see.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like.
Well, I mean, I think you could make the argument like Host and Paranormal Activity are like the 2020 version of Blair Witch Project in a weird way. I mean, it's definitely more. I mean, movies, found footage movies have become more flashy over time, whereas they started out.
Blair Witch doesn't have that suspense for me. Like, it can seem terrifying in the moment that they don't know like where people are, what the fuck's happening, but like the fucking suspense and Host and Paranormal Activity 3 where you're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Yeah. Oh my god.
It's like how I don't find the world in the Evil Dead's scary, where like you don't really find the Blair Witch world scary. Yeah. Whereas like the world and the stories of the Blair Witch within the movie, I can't think of much that scares me more than that.
So strange.
That is just like disturbing.
I think it's it's just like an evolutionary thing.
I can't wrap my mind around it. I literally
fucking
can't.
Scary, man. I like the part in the tent with like, oh my god, the tent part is. Like,
I don't get it.
I think that tent part is like the scariest thing.
I
want to
get it. I want to get it.
That is just
I really
so fucking
do.
scary.
The scariest part for me is just the end. Like
the end too, yeah, but like
the implication. I mean, I know some people would just be like, he's just fucking standing there.
I didn't get it. I remember asking you guys. I was like, he's standing in the corner, like hyperventilating. What's going on?
Something about being in a tent in the middle of the night and hearing shit.
We need to
just
fucking
like,
go
oh
camping.
My God.
It makes me want to go camping.
Oh
Maybe
my
we need
God.
to watch.
It makes me never want to leave my house.
We should watch Blair Witch Project while camping in the middle of the woods.
We should watch it on a VHS player.
You would like the remake of the Blair Witch.
I don't
the new
know.
Blair Witch more than the original.
Doesn't it show more?
Oh yeah, I know you would like it more.
Do you think I would actually like it though?
I think you would, because it actually shows stuff.
Just because something shows stuff doesn't mean I'll like it.
Well, I mean, you'll like it more than.
I showed you my stuff and you like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Paranormal Activity, like Ghost Dimensions, is a perfect example where it shows a bunch of stuff.
But what I mean is like things moving
don't.
around and shit. Like Blair Witch doesn't even do that.
Okay.
But to bring it back to the Evil Dead, like I also feel like
That was a good discussion.
people who are fans of the Evil Dead series, they don't watch it because they're scared of it. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Yeah,
think
but
that's
like
true.
what was just very interesting is watching Sid be like very on edge and scared during the
Well,
Evil
okay,
Dead.
the newer one's
Okay,
a different
yeah, yeah,
story.
yeah,
Like
sorry.
Sid was like on edge and like stressing out. I'm like,
I was
trying not to
I was
fall
like
asleep.
having fun watching her be scared because I was like, I'm not having this experience, but it's really cool.
Because the newest one is trying as hard as it can to make you crap your pants. Like even just like the flickering lights and people like cutting their.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing the trailer when I was like 13, and then there's like the scene where like the lady takes like the demon. You know, she's been possessed, and what is that, like a fucking? You use it to like cut turkey meat or whatever.
Oh, when she cuts her arm off.
No, she cuts her tongue in half and like splits it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like that was fucking. Like I remember being like, oh my god, like this is insane.
Yeah. Okay, you want to talk? I want to talk more about the new Evil Dead. It's my favorite one. I don't know if I've told you that,
I think you did.
but it is officially like by far my favorite one after rewatching all of them. I really like how they. I don't know if you noticed this, but in the first like 20 minutes of the movie, they set up like every single weapon that's gonna be used for the entire movie.
I was more paying attention to like how atrocious the exposition was in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Hello, this is our relationship between you, and hello, I am a doctor.
The first 15 minutes are pretty bad.
I
Yeah.
think what takes me out of it the most is the acting, even throughout like the most of it.
I think it's the dialogue. Personally,
I agree. I said the same thing.
even.
I think the actors
the
are
writing.
trying as hard as they can.
How do you deliver dialogue
But
like
yeah,
that?
some of the writing is so bad that
When you didn't come visit mom, blah 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 blah. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, how do you,
I think it should be a general
Jake Gyllenhaal
rule.
couldn't like.
It should be a general rule while writing a script that you're not allowed to say sis or sister or like bro or brother to your actual like that's
Yeah.
not allowed.
But that's not their fault. Like, I don't think any actor, like any top-notch actor, could deliver dialogue like
Good
that
to
and make
see
it
you,
sound really
sis.
good. You know.
Yeah.
Like it's the dialogue is pretty bad. But what's funny is I feel like
Hey, the dialogue is good.
once the horror starts, everything improves, and even the acting improves because I have this theory that like sometimes there's actors who are only good in horror movies because they only are good at reaching that level of intensity, but when it comes to just
Normal shit.
very
Interesting.
very basic human interaction, it's awkward, but they can reach that.
There were some moments
because they were all much better, don't you think?
Oh
when-
yeah, when they have to act like demons or act like terrified. Mm-hmm. But like the
That's
lead.
probably why they were cast. They weren't cast
Yeah.
to be like, "Hey sis," you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they have to act like normal human beings, are awkward and they feel like actors, but when they're terrified, it becomes like way more
You're like,
believable.
"Oh wow."
What helped a lot for me, this might be really lame, but like the main guy to me looked a lot, especially with some faces he made, looked a lot like Joaquin Phoenix to me. So I was just imagining Joaquin Phoenix in that role,
I can kinda see
and
it.
like I don't know,
Younger
that helped me
Joaquin
get into
Phoenix.
it. That helped me get into it.
It helped
a
you
little.
get into it
I'm
that
not-
he looked like walking.
Yeah,
Phoenix.
I was just imagining Joaquin
That's
Phoenix.
how desperate he was to be like.
I was like
entertained by the movie.
I know. I was just like Joaquin Phoenix.
Well, I will say, as far as the acting goes, I really liked the main girl. You said you didn't think she was very good. I think she's real. I think the main girl is really good, and I think that the guy with the long hair is really good.
I think so too.
Okay.
That one girl who cuts off her arm was kind of weak until she has to cut off her arm.
Well, yeah, right.
I think
Yeah.
the only one that
I feel a lot better now. Yeah.
the only one that I thought was pretty
That
good
was a good sound effect.
was the long-haired guy.
Yeah, I would say he's actually the best.
Although I don't know, because the lead actress, you don't really think about it, but she has to play like 4 different fucking characters in this movie because she plays like her regular OD self, or not OD, but like she's. Oh, that's another part of it too.
The addiction.
That image of
the
her in the
addiction
cellar,
element.
though, is like, I feel like it's kind of iconic, specifically from this. I've seen that a lot, where her head's like sticking out
Oh yeah,
of like the
Yeah.
cellar.
Well, they do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
in the first one, yeah.
I know, but this one specifically, I've seen that
Yeah.
image a lot, like wherever, like on the internet and stuff. Yeah, and so I really like what helped a lot with this one for me to try and get into it a little more was the makeup. Like, it was really fucking good. Like the practical effects and the makeup. Because that, for me, the first and the second Evil Dead, it was a little tough when especially the first one, when the makeup did not look great. I was like, I can't get into it. This looks 100% like someone took like a pencil and was like...
Right, but it's still impressive that they did that all themselves with no money. Like, there's literally a shot in the first one where they had to do stop motion, like, frame by frame on set. And yeah, it might look like makeup, but, like, it's fucking, like, extremely intricate. And, you know, it's more about, like, the craft and the fun of it all, even if it doesn't look super realistic.
That's one thing I've noticed, is that, like, you guys can get into a movie because you're, like, super impressed with how it was made, which I can understand and respect. And there's a lot of movies where I'm like, oh, I really respect that movie because of how it was made and under the circumstances it was made in.
Right.
But I'm not a big fan of it, and I wouldn't personally own it.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, you know, we still find it the hardest to rewatch.
Yeah.
So like, but it's, you know, it's not that, like, when it was made and under the circumstances, it's not. It's definitely impressive, but you know, it was made in the 80s. And so it's like it made the most sense for this one to get sort of the reboot treatment. But yeah, that's the thing is those are my glasses. Okay.
So where does the newest one like sit for you?
Don't make me rank them.
No.
Like, let's rank them. I wanna rank
Would
them.
you say it's like
I think
one of your favorites, or is it like your least favorite? Like, what
I mean, I definitely could see myself watching it again.
Okay.
I mostly like it. I think I feel very similar to you. I don't know if it's my favorite. It feels, in my mind, it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to make that comparison because the originals are going for almost like a completely different vibe.
But it's like, it's totally like a worthy like reboot. Like, I mean,
and
it's rare.
it pays a lot of homage to it without just being like reference. Like, it's still like
I'm
its
glad
own thing completely.
it wasn't like the Lion King reboot where it was just shot for shot, but modern.
Yeah.
You know?
But what's kind of cool is I noticed is like you can still watch it not seeing any of the previous Evil Deads, but if you have seen them, then like you have like these unwritten rules in the back of your head of like, oh shit, that means she's gonna have to cut off her limbs, kind of thing. Oh, that's what that means.
I would
You
rank
know?
them.
And but it also doesn't ruin the experience knowing that information too.
I would rank them 3. So Army of Darkness, then the reboot 4. So 3, 4, 2, and then 1.
Okay. I'm not gonna rank them.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I just know that the newest one is my favorite for sure.
I definitely like the element of the addiction. I thought that was very clever.
I like that too.
I like that I mean, the whole movie is essentially, when you look at it through that lens, it's like a metaphor for.
Oh my gosh, that
for,
scared me more than anything in the fucking Evil Dead.
It's the Halloween episode, boys.
Because usually when there's a horror movie where they're like up in a cabin and something horrifying is going on, it's like, why don't you just fucking leave, you fucking pansy? But then they bring in the whole like, no, we're keeping you up here because it was like, oh shit, that actually makes sense.
And also it has a whole element of like,
is she crazy? Is she having withdrawals? So I actually really did like
the whole
that.
movie is basically like a metaphor for, you know, like recovery and like withdrawing from like drugs and shit. And
I like that she's the main character at the beginning, and then
it shifts
and then she becomes the main character again at the end, which I thought was
didn't
interesting.
think about that.
Is it okay? I wasn't entirely sure, but isn't the girl at the end, spoilers, I guess we're talking.
Yeah,
about
I haven't seen it.
the girl at the end. You know, it's raining blood. That crazy scene, and she sends the fucking the fucking chainsaw through the girl's head. Was that her? Was she fighting herself? I wasn't sure.
Maybe like the demonic version of herself. I'm not really sure.
That's what I assumed it was.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Or the one, the demon that had.
Because she came out of the ground where she was
I
buried.
thought it was like
the girl who had possessed. Who had she been possessed by that whole
Was
time?
she burned? Was the girl burned?
That is so fucking awesome.
Because for some reason I was thinking it was the girl from the beginning of the movie. You know how she was like burned.
What girl?
Remember the like very first scene where they're like there's a girl.
Oh yeah, the cold
and they're
open.
they're like burning her.
Oh no! Do you know why she was being burned?
Why?
Because the demon's like essentially coming from hell. So like she's grabbing her, and and the demon's like sizzling hot, like burning her.
Oh.
I just thought that was like I literally that is just like one of the coolest things. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That whole sequence is like one of my favorite horror sequences I can think of.
Just
the raining blood.
Bloodiest
it's
thing.
so
I don't get
fucking
squeamish,
awesome.
but that scene or that part after she's dead and there's just like two of her split down the middle and there's just like the bubbling. I had to be like,
it's awesome. It is so cool. The second the rain starts, I'm just like,
it's awesome, but it's fucking
You know,
disgusting.
this is gonna be really random. You know the one scene that made me like almost look away?
Was it where she was foaming from the mouth?
No, it's when she was in the shower and it got all hot and it left her face and stuff like
yeah.
burned. I don't remember what it's called. It's like typophobia or something like that, where like you literally have a fear of like holes in like the skin or something.
Oh.
And that's like really hard for me to look at for some reason.
Interesting.
So like seeing those holes like indents and shit in her face, like
Yeah.
it like ugh.
blisters.
It added a whole other element to it that I don't think the first one had because like the first one's characters are about as flat as a plank of wood. And I mean these characters aren't like super interesting, but it gave you something to chew on.
Something.
Added another element of it. But I mean the star of the movie is really like the effects and like the scares and the crazy shit that happens.
The character of the guy got better as the movie went along.
I agree.
I'll say that.
I agree.
Fuck me.
They're not like amazing. Like if you were to read the script, it probably wouldn't be like amazing. But like I think the actors are like they try as hard as they can to bring.
It's only been an hour and 17 minutes. Shit.
They try as hard as they can to like bring the characters to life. Like there's a few lines that are like, I don't know. Like you think of the line like if you were to read it, it would probably be a pretty flat line. Like like I wish you would have been there or whatever. But then like they deliver it in a certain way that's like okay. Like I could see you really tried to fucking like it.
Yeah.
It adds a whole nother element. To it.
Your older brother?
Yeah. But I mean, as it goes on, as the whole
It's just Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. Look at this book. Is that it? Oh, is it that?
Yo, Adrian, it's your older brother.
Hey, Adrian, we gotta cut off our arms because of the deadites in the
I feel better now.
That's interesting. Technically, the official name for these are deadites, and sometimes they call them zombies in like descriptions. Although this isn't a zombie movie, it's more of a like.
I like to think it's just like they're
Demons.
infected by evil, and I just think that's kind of interesting.
Evil.
I don't know, the newest one, just like the cinematography and just the world building and
It's pretty gorgeous.
fuck me,
cinematography.
like when the house is on fire.
That looks
like,
really good.
the
Oh
chainsaw,
yeah, it was like cinema porn. Just
the shot with the chainsaw.
so
and
much going on.
So cool.
Cinema porn.
Porn lights and
More,
lighting.
it's really hard for me to be like, oh, but
Yeah.
damn, it was really good. And I don't know.
I wish I It's the most frustrating thing in the world when you genuinely really want to go into a movie liking it and like you just can't for some reason. Like I really wanted to like these movies.
Speaking of wanting to like a movie more than you did,
Oh, are we doing this?
it seems like we have.
Oh,
time.
fuck
Okay,
yeah.
first I just wanted to say my opinion is that The Evil Dead, you could correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it is the bloodiest series of all time. If you have something to counter me, maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't know, but I feel like Evil Dead is
There was
gotta be
like
up there.
no blood in Texas
But I mean the
Chainsaw
sequels,
Massacre.
like I haven't seen the sequels.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just
I feel
want to
like it
say,
What about the Saw movies?
Oh, probably.
oh,
But I mean, like,
Those
Evil
are
Dead
literally
literally has parts where it rains blood, like blood is like
Yeah.
shooting out of nowhere.
I mean, it doesn't have the bloodiest scene in cinematic history. That belongs to it, Chapter 2.
It's pretty similar, though. You know.
The bloodiest scene of all time in the history of movies was when I had my first period.
I love that movie.
The bloodiest scene was this morning.
The bloodiest scene was when I took a dump.
Yeah.
I have dysentery. I'm dying. my intestines are falling out of my ass.
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. Go watch them. They're fun time. Watch the series if you want. I've seen the first season. This is not bad.
Yeah, I like it.
I heard it actually gets better.
Yeah,
So maybe I should continue watching it.
The Snulf of Bull.
Oh yeah, so
Swallow.
do your segue now.
Okay, speaking of movies that we
Wanted to like but couldn't.
Well, okay. I think my feelings are a little bit more complicated.
Okay, so The Wolf of Snow Hollow,
We
a
watched.
Jim Cummings film, the director of
This
Thunder
is for
Road.
you, Jim.
We've already
Yeah.
talked about Thunder Road. So this is the second movie.
Go watch our Thunder Road episode if
Yes.
you haven't already.
We all. I mean, me and Kyle love Thunder Road. I think Micah.
I respect it.
Yeah, Micah respects it. I respect it.
I respect it. Yeah.
And Jim Cummings, if you're actually watching this, hi. I don't know. I feel like you have a legitimate shot of actually watching this, so I just want to say hi to you.
That is true. Doesn't he look like you?
I mean,
Yeah, actually, you know what? If my hair's a certain way, if you ever want a younger version of yourself in a movie, like, I think I could legit play you. Not gonna
And
lie.
I agree. So here,
It doesn't look like it right now, but with my hair, I promise I could play you.
you're just like doing an interview like live on the internet.
Yeah,
for
so
everybody.
seriously, if you're watching this, Jim, and you need a younger version of yourself for a flashback, I'm available.
And he's not kidding.
No.
Call us up at 1-800
fuck.
1-800 fuck.
Leave a comment, Jim, if you're actually watching this. I would love that.
Okay. So my feelings on this movie, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which came out this year. It is a werewolf movie written, directed, and starring our boy Jim, Kim Jummings.
Yeah, come up with it.
And right off the bat, I feel like my feelings are still pretty close to what I said before when we watched it. I've seen it twice. You guys have seen it once. I still can't confidently say it's a... Well, okay. I want to be fair.
I can't say it's a movie.
I can't say it's a bad movie, but I can't say it's 90% on Rotten Tomatoes good, which is where it currently sits.
90?
Yeah, it's actually getting very, very good reviews, which
I think it has like a 3.4 on Letterboxd, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it has a 6.2 on IMDb. So I don't know if there's a weird thing with Rotten Tomatoes where you can manipulate the score a little bit.
I'm wondering, it sits in this weird area where you could almost argue it's doing something like super new and almost like it's trying to like reinvigorate the comedy
Right.
horror genre.
I kind of want to watch it again
Me
already.
too. Me
Yeah.
too. Because
Yeah.
like I almost feel like I'm just not getting it because like some people are kind of talking about how like the pace of it all is like this really fresh way to like tell a story. Whereas like me, it really didn't work. But I'm wondering if there's something that I like maybe I'm watching out for it.
I will say there's definitely a lot more to pick up on rewatch, and I definitely think it benefits. I think this movie's biggest enemy is the pace.
Yeah.
I think it
And the editing.
It moves at such
Not to say that the editing is bad, but just how... I don't know, just how it edits the scenes together in sequence.
It's like you hear the saying of like start a scene late and end it early. It's like that, but like times 100.
Yeah. Well, it also moves at such a pace that like you don't always, you can't take in everything that it has to offer, and it's giving you so much information so quickly that it just doesn't register until you see it a second time. And there's like even things about it like watching it a second time where like the first time you might have been like, oh, well, that looked kind of fake, but then you're like, oh, well, maybe they meant to do that. I don't want to spoil it because that's half the fun of it. Is not knowing.
I do
the
actually,
ending.
the more I think about it, the more I actually like the twist. I don't want to go into it yet. I would say out of all of us, I think I might have liked it the most.
I don't even what twist. I don't really know what twist you're referring
The
to.
werewolf.
Oh. Okay, I guess you could call it a twist.
I would say I liked it the most. I still wouldn't say I loved it. It actually ranks on my top 10 movies of the year right now.
Wow.
At number 9, but that's because I've only seen like 20 movies.
Here's the thing though. Even though I acknowledge that there's a lot that I don't think is like definitely could have been done better, I still find myself wanting to go back and rewatch scenes.
Me too.
So it's weird. That's what makes me really think it's the pacing. It's because it's like once you actually go back and dissect stuff, you're like, oh shit, they were setting this up here, and I like the energy of scenes. Mm-hmm. I'll say right off the bat, let's just talk some positives just before we get
into spoilers.
Yeah. So this is actually the final film of Robert Forster, which every time he's in a scene, I feel like he's the best part of the scene. I feel like he's not in a whole lot of scenes in this movie. Mm-hmm. But there's some really great scenes between him and Jim. They actually have really good chemistry when they have scenes together because they're supposed to be playing like father-son. And there's this whole element of it's not really a spoiler, but because it's kind of throughout the whole movie of Jim's dad, played by Robert Forster, is supposed to be the sheriff of the precinct that they work at, and like he's sort of he's basically like he's been having like
he's getting old.
Yeah, he's been having heart problems for like a while, and he's like keeping it from the rest of everybody, even his son, and so it's like this whole thing of like he probably should have got out of the game years ago, but like he's like refusing to, which is kind of like a great. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's definitely fitting that it's his last movie because I
don't want to ask this question in poor taste, but like, how did Robert Forster pass away?
I don't know. He's older.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I imagine it's from natural causes. But I mean, I can imagine that like.
There it is.
I don't know. I can imagine like he probably took this role on because he resonated with something
maybe
to do with that character, and I heard he was really fun to work with in interviews with Jim Cummings. But anyway, and then there's definitely overall there's definitely bigger name actors. Then there's that also I can never remember her name. Ricky, Dicky,
and Dawn.
No, what's her name? Look up her name. She's
the actress.
Yeah, she's in Garfunkel and Oates. They have this like comedy. I've mentioned her name before. She's been in a lot of movies. She's been in Under the Silver Lake. She was in Knives Out.
He had brain cancer.
She was okay.
Shit.
That's awful.
just no segue to that. I'm talking about he had brain cancer.
Jesus.
The most depressing. Okay.
All right, so who are we looking for here?
I'm tired of getting her name wrong.
Riki Lindhome?
Riki Lindhome. She's been.
I hope we're saying your name right. Apologies.
Yeah, and then Jimmy Tato, which
Tatro.
Jimmy
Tater Tot.
I have my glasses. I'm sorry. I think he was originally like a YouTuber or a Vine star or something, and he got.
Oh, is that the guy from
American Vandal?
Oh yeah. Okay, so he's probably
Tater Tot if you're watching.
Yeah. But funny enough, I still feel like even with those big name actors, Jim Cummings still like steals the show in an interesting way. Mm-hmm. He's the most interesting to watch. Mm-hmm. Every time he's on screen,
I was worried he was going to be so similar to his role in Thunder Road, just because Jim Cummings playing another cop, but it was like. It was still pretty similar, and I wish it would have distanced itself a little bit more, but I really like that he was not as likable this time around, and I don't know. It was very interesting.
He definitely feels like a different person, but like on paper, it's very close, and that's where I think some of our issues with the movie lie. I know I was going to talk about positives.
I'm just thinking of the milk scene.
Yeah, that's might be the funniest scene of the movie.
I don't know, the movie feels kind of like the first episode of a TV show in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. I do kind of know what you mean.
I don't know. Like, I think we were talking about how it would be better as a mini-series, and I think it would be. I
also put together, if you look on Letterboxd and other review places,
like gotta have his crackers.
Yeah. I've noticed that the people who seem to give it the most positive reviews also mention that they haven't seen Thunder Road, which I find very interesting, because I wonder if we would like this movie maybe a little bit more if we hadn't seen Thunder Road and not put together those similarities with like, oh, he's playing a cop who has a drinking problem, anger issues, and the whole thing with his daughter, and you know.
I can pretty confidently say that I think I actually liked this more than Thunder Road.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I just like the concept a lot more. Sorry, before we go into it a little more, I just wanted to say that like the one big like problem I had with it, and this is like fix this, movie's fucking gold. The editing is they focused on the parts that were not as interesting to me for long periods of time, long scenes, and then the scenes that I found very interesting, they like cut into montages really fast, and I was like, I wish they would have focused on those.
That also could have been a budgetary thing.
Maybe, but like I just wish they would have maybe, I don't know how you would montage a fucking father-daughter relationship, but I wish
montage through the good stuff.
I know if they didn't montage through the good stuff, and this is what, an hour and
it's a short movie, hour 20.
I think you could edit this in a way where you don't, because the montage stuff, you make those full scenes, great ass movie, might be one of my favorites of the year, but it's just like you zip through all the best parts so fast.
We don't get time to take it in. That's why
I think the relationship with the daughter was kind of what put me over the edge as far as like the similarities between this and Thunder Road and how long they chose to focus on it. I was like, damn,
it felt like he wrote both movies simultaneously, and like maybe he didn't think he was gonna get to make this one, and then once he had success with his other movie, Orion Pictures, who's the studio that this was made under, was like, got anything else? And he was like, oh shit, like I have the script sitting here.
Movie.
But just for reference, like I guess we already said me and you really like Thunder Road, but like Thunder Road is definitely a much different movie also, which I find very interesting. Like this definitely feels like, and he said this before, this is his first quote unquote studio movie, even though it's not like, doesn't have like the biggest budget, but you kind of get that sense. It feels much more crowd pleasing. It feels much more, shorter attention span. And then Thunder Road feels more like South by Southwest kind of film festival winner kind of thing.
Yeah,
has more of a indie film.
Well, and one of the biggest things about Thunder Road is how long he chose to sit on stuff.
It's like the complete opposite.
Long takes,
of
and now it's
movie.
Just like boom, 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 going like crazy.
Even in his short films, like most of his, if not all of his short films, are like done in like one continuous take. And so, and like it's like seemed like that was part of his style. And in this movie, there's like almost none of that. The only part of his like directing style that's reminiscent are like the like long, like slow, like zooms that he does, which I think are really cool. But like pacing wise, it feels like a very different movie for sure. I did like, I'm a big fan of his sense of humor. He probably is the closest to my sensibilities out of all three of us, I would assume, just with like the whole how he blends like drama and comedy and everything. But again, just the similarities to Thunder Road are just very apparent. And it's not that they're bad. It's just like if you've watched both movies, it feels very samey.
It's my favorite word. What's my favorite word, everyone? Redundant. Yeah.
That's your favorite word?
You guys have made fun of me for saying redundant so much.
I have?
Yes.
That's me.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like if the movie was like 2 hours.
Yeah. 220. This is a movie.
It could have been really long. I mean,
we talked about it felt like a movie that like it was originally supposed to be longer, and then like
I can't help but wonder if
maybe somebody made him, the studio perhaps made him cut it to a shorter length because they didn't have faith in it. It feels like there's more movie there.
Do you think we're good to go into spoilers?
I want to talk about positives a little bit first.
I do, but
we can start spoilers.
Okay, because my positives are like spoilers.
Well, first of all, before we get into spoilers, I just want to share because we've been kind of holding on the negative still a little bit.
I want to talk about.
But you're going to talk about the ending, and I want to, for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, the cinematography is really good.
Correct.
I'm not a huge fan of the color grading. It definitely feels like.
Could you go higher when you say that?
Although I will say I think it looked better on your TV, but like in trailers and stuff, it's like more apparent of like it's very like straight out of the camera kind of like, because for those who don't know, a lot of digital cameras, they come with this digital cinema cameras they shoot these movies on these days have a what's known as shooting flat or in log color profile, which is nerd speak for like they shoot in a flat image that so it takes in the most light and information so you can go back and like that's how they create the color palette and stuff. And it kind of felt like they shot the movie like that, but decided to keep that as the look of the movie.
I just learned something.
And I guess it's sort of like a subjective thing, if like you like the look of the movie or not. For me, I wasn't like a huge fan of it, but it doesn't take me out of it. It makes it look a little bit more low budget than it actually was.
Let's talk about the positive. So the color grading shit.
I know. I keep doing.
I'm just gonna go and cut you off. So
I keep doing that. But
all right. So
Spoilers.
There were like
Fuck it,
two
spoilers.
fucking gorgeous sequences. Like not with just how it's shot. Like the acting, the colors, the music, the situation, the scenario, where like everything was like flawless, and I was just like blown away by it. The first is when Jim Cummings is like his daughter's in like a car with some boy.
Oh yeah.
And simultaneously like they're getting terrorized by the monster, and he has to decide whether to like scold his daughter or chase after this monster, and you actually see the monster, and it's pretty.
That scene's great.
It's pretty terrifying, and I just love everything about that. And
I love that little exchange they have where he's like, "You're not gonna ask if I'm okay?" He's like, "Of course I'm not gonna ask if you're okay. Hey, you're making out with some dude in some truck." And then he doesn't say like, "What's wrong with you?" His response is like, he's like, "Do you know what your mother's gonna say about
okay,
me?"
this is gonna be a really weird statement, and don't take it as weird. It's gonna sound really weird at first, but
It already sounds weird.
But let me get into it. This is just, I'm getting myself into so much trouble. I like that she's not wearing pants in the scene because it shows how it's like so, it feels so genuine because like it's her father and like she's in this awkward scenario and she doesn't give a shit. She's like in her underwear and just was with some boy and the dad's so mad and she's so mad. It's not even mentioned, and it's just like, it just adds to, it's like a little something that really adds to it, and it sounds really weird of me to say.
I know what you mean,
but like
it took me a while to get to it.
It's not to be like no, it's not about that. Did you just fart?
No, that was me snorting.
So that was the first sequence where I was like, damn. And then damn, no pants.
Okay.
All right, I'm joking. The other one was probably my favorite scene of any movie out of this entire year, where like, so spoiler, like big spoiler here, you find out that the guy, and it sounds dumb when I just say it, but I think it was executed pretty well at the end, when you find out the guy is literally just someone in a suit, but it's like really well crafted and like well done, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it. And there's this sequence where they're like running through the woods, and like Jim Cummings is chasing the guy.
That's
in the
definitely
suit.
the scene I've rewatched the most.
And there's it's snowing, and it's like kind of in slow motion, and there's like this majestic music playing, and he gets shot, and it's just like, I used the word heart-wrenching, and you guys didn't agree. I thought it was like really emotional and sad, and you guys didn't see it that way for some reason. And I was like, damn, this is like, wow, this is intense with like everything that was going on. I love the way it looked. I love everything that was going on. Like that scene right there was perfect. Wouldn't change a thing.
Okay.
So
well, like you with the Evil Deads, I feel the same way where I'm like frustrated because I didn't really like connect with it as much as I wanted to, and I was I mean, I don't know if I've tried to enjoy a movie this much in a long time, and it just literally haven't been able to. I mean, it's not boring, and I was entertained, and I want to watch it again, but I was trying to get invested on like in basically any way on an emotional level.
I think it just goes
and
way too fast.
It was
to
like
let you do that.
it was like keeping me at a distance. It wouldn't let
Because
me.
it's not like they don't try to set up the characters. There's a bunch of shit that's there.
Yes.
It just goes so fucking fast. You don't have time to register any of it.
Like you were saying about the girl in her underwear. There's so many little things like the world feels real, like all the little details within the movie, like all the character dynamics and stuff, all feel genuine, and there's all these little details throughout that make the movie feel genuine.
Yeah.
But it never gives you any time for any of that to register,
Right.
and it doesn't sit on anything and let you like take it in and enjoy it. It's moving too fast. So as much as I liked that end sequence, I was like frustrated because it was like I wasn't able to enjoy it because
there wasn't a build up to make you feel like you earned it.
It didn't feel earned.
Jim, do you vape? Like, genuine question. Like
It's just no.
why does every character vape, I feel like?
Yeah, that was weird. Like 3 characters vape.
Like when someone's like in like inspecting a dead body in an office and the guy's just like,
okay, speaking of
It's cinematic
okay,
and it looks cool.
Speaking of nothing, can we talk about the first like 5 minutes of the movie?
I didn't think it was as bad as you guys thought it was.
What the hell was
Okay.
that?
I mean, it's definitely the weakest part of the movie.
That was really weird.
It's definitely the weakest part of the movie, and it almost feels like a completely different movie. The opening scene before Jim's character is introduced, with the 2 characters who are supposed to be like L.A. folk.
They use a homophobic slur.
So they're just like sitting in a bar, and then somebody calls somebody else. I think somebody calls somebody else a faggot, I believe.
Yeah.
And then they get really mad and speak up, which whatever. And then like, then he's like, "Oh, it's just that one word that really bothers me." And then like,
he's
there's
sort
like
of
an argument, and it holds on the guy who says faggot for like a couple seconds, and like insinuating that
He's gonna come back into play.
There's gonna be some kind of like fight between them later on, and then literally nothing happens.
I think
it feels like that scene was written because one day he heard somebody be called a faggot and was really upset, and then just put it in the movie.
I think he was trying to throw out a lot of...
Or who knows?
Red herrings.
Sorry to interrupt you, but who knows? Maybe there was a payoff to that scene and it got cut out. I don't know.
It seems like the whole movie was trying to throw you off, because there's even a sequence where literally there was like a burning dead body in a pile of like wood.
Yeah, what was that
And
about?
then
The guy in the trailer?
Yeah, they never talk about that. They never bring that up. So there are just moments that are confusing.
That's
and
what
just
I mean,
like...
is
The whole movie's full of just red herrings everywhere.
Well, I mean, is that a plot hole, or is... I mean,
it's it's not in the movie long enough to be a plot hole. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's easy to just say, "Oh, well, no, he's just trying to throw us off." But it's like, well, but that like nothing happens with that. Like, I don't know. That's what I mean. It's like it's hard to tell the difference between the movie's flaws and what it's trying, how it's trying
Sorry,
to.
I was catching it.
Oh, like is it trying to reinvent the genre and like structure and stuff, or is it just like flawed? You know, it's kind of hard.
It
to tell the
definitely
difference.
feels like there's a lot of deleted scenes. Like, honestly,
He even said in a Reddit AMA that because you wouldn't even know this if you saw the movie, but I guess because like people were asking like, oh well, if it was just a guy in a wolf costume, like how is he like killing people? How is he, you know, like you would hear, and I guess he had like knives or something as claws on his suit. But that scene got cut apparently, according to him. So it kind of implies that there was a lot of shit that was cut.
Yeah, I want to see a director's cut of this. I honestly do.
Maybe too much cut.
Yeah, I'd actually be interested.
I don't know if this
it could
was
change
the
the whole movie.
director's
It
cut.
feels like a movie that should have been like an hour 40.
No,
at least.
220. I want this to be long
I
as
would have
shit.
been fine with it being like 2 hours.
But yeah, I just mean the movie that was presented to us felt like there was
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was entertaining. I was never bored.
right.
That guy really was wrapping the cord around that lamp for a while.
Oh yeah, what was that?
The tater tot guy, he was just like, yeah, be careful out there.
I mean, he was packing.
I know. It was just really funny to me.
Yeah.
Weird thing.
That was one of those little details that you're like,
It was almost more distracting than it was.
Well, it's because again,
there's so much.
I
going
think
on.
it's the pacing. I really do. I think if this movie took its time with these scenes, you'd be able to appreciate that stuff more.
Yeah.
because Thunder
But
Road has that, right?
Yeah, it has lots of stuff like that where it's like there's lots of implications by like that scene in Thunder Road. Spoilers if you haven't seen Thunder Road, which I really shouldn't be spoiling these movies in case nobody's seen them because there's more of a
Well, we're telling them beforehand, so
right.
who cares?
But anyway, like that scene in Thunder Road where like he's, you know, like she's having that conversation with, I think, his sister or something like that. And it's like that about like how his mom left him her earrings, even though they, like he can't even wear them or whatever. And like, and then like after he leaves, like he takes it out of his pocket and leaves it like, it's like, it's sort of implying that he keeps them all the time with him, but he never has to say it. There's always shit like that.
But because the movie sits there, it lets you that register. But whereas this movie's moving so fast, and so many people are doing so many different things so fast, and you're like, wait.
Yeah, what? And the dialogue's not simple enough for you to just be like, there's like, the dialogue's like thick, and there's lots going on.
Dialogue's thick.
It's got a thick, the
dialogue.
I mean, there's that, like the way that, the way that his, he talks to his dad, like the whole like Willie Nelson monologue and shit. And there's lots to pick up on. There's lots of setups and payoffs and shit.
I really want to watch this again.
But there's like you just don't have enough time. You're just like, what? What's going on here? What?
What's going on here?
What's going on here? I didn't even notice until I watched it a second time in the beginning. I don't know if like when he's talking about like. He's talking about like his dad, the police chief, is talking about like 40 years ago or whatever, like something that happened, like they took down some guys and then it cuts to Jim and like the way that he's talking about it, like he's like the part of the story is like they all put their hands up and he's doing this and stuff, like a subtle thing, like he's heard this before and he's like acting it out kind of thing, like his dad's like there's lots of shit like
there's
that.
One part where his dad's like telling him a story or like telling him to be safe or something, and he's just like, that's great, Dad, have a safe drive, like just cuts him off completely. That's great, Dad.
Well, it's because he sees somebody else walking. There's lots of little clever shit like that, but it just moves so fucking fast you don't have time to pick up on it.
What accent does Jim Cummings have? Like, it's so interesting.
He's from, in real life, he's from like Wisconsin or something? No, something like that.
Buddy
I don't remember. Well, if you're watching this, Mr. Jim, you can leave.
Jim, if you want to answer our questions, that'd be awesome.
He's not watching.
But if you are,
by that point, 0.01%.
But if you are,
straight to Jim Cummings.
Jim, this is for you.
We're all aspiring filmmakers. We all need jobs. So if you
Cummings.
need people to work at that company that you work at, Vanishing Angle, you can leave us an email at
We all know there's 4 people, including Jesse, watching this.
Yeah. But Jim.
Jim, if you are watching.
If you are watching, Jim.
Call me.
After we tear your movie
No.
a new asshole, would you hire it?
I think we were just confused by
Yeah.
it. It was like not at all what we were expecting. I mean, you watch that trailer and it's
I think the
like,
trailer definitely, it's definitely more of a comedy than the trailer would.
Let's just have him on we'll have him on our next episode.
Jesus Christ.
Just Jim Cummings in my basement.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
So do we feel
Hey
like
Mom,
we've
hey
wrapped
Dad,
up
this is Jim.
the Snow Hollow discussion?
I mean, I don't know. I still want to talk about shit that I like about it. Again, I still feel like
We've been saying that for 20 minutes.
I know, but
Hot take.
There's
20
things
minutes
I like
later.
about like. Okay, well, I like again, if you call it a twist, I like it because like the whole movie, it's like, it's a werewolf. No, it's a man. No, it's a fucking werewolf. Blah, blah, blah.
And you expect Jim to be wrong.
Yeah, well, I like that both parties were kind of right in a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or it is a man, but it's a man dressed up as a werewolf.
Yeah, I wish they wouldn't have shown the werewolf quite so soon.
Yeah, it was a little bit strange.
I know you were concerned that they gave it away.
Yeah, it felt like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like reveal-wise. I mean, I liked, specifically what I liked I agree with what you said about the cinematography, but I liked the night cinematography quite a lot.
Okay.
The use of red lights and stuff, I really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
I like the anytime Jim decides to do like anything reminiscing a oneer like that, does that one scene that's all like one, or I think it's the second crime scene or something like that, and it's the music's very boom boom boom, which at first it was a little too like, oh, what are we doing? That was until I like picked up on the tone that it was going for.
I mean, the thing is I have a lot of negatives, but all my negatives are in response to something positive that I feel.
Right.
So it's not, I don't feel that bad about being so negative, because like I did enjoy the movie quite a lot and there's a lot I liked about it, but like it's frustrating because I would have liked it more had it not been
Yeah.
like this or whatever. Like that whole scene was really chaotic, but I feel like I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And it's so well crafted and put together, but it's
Yeah.
like it was just like they threw it through a wood chipper kind of. Like it was just all crazy. I'm just like, oh, I can't pay attention. I feel like I don't know what's going on, but all the dialogue and stuff just feels very organic and I mean, there's one thing, Jim Cummings can write dialogue. We
And
know
he's a
that.
good actor. He's a
And he's a
great
good
actor.
actor.
He's
Yeah.
great.
So
Hear that, Jim? You're not listening.
But if you are,
But
but no, I mean, like, he definitely has like a fuck ton of potential, and I'm still like super excited. I'll watch anything he makes.
how much is a fuck ton?
Well, yeah, I'll have to show you. I would say overall, if you're thinking about watching it, I would say it's at least worth a rent. You know, give it
Yeah.
a shot. Need something to watch. It's kind of spooky. It's a fun movie to watch. I definitely wish it would have spent a little bit more time on just like everything, just pacing wise. It definitely is a movie that it definitely like rewatching it helps a lot.
Yeah.
I will say that.
I'm definitely gonna rewatch it.
I'm definitely middle of the road on it. Just for example, I don't fucking know. So I've seen 21 movies that have come out this year, and it's ranked 9th. So it's pretty, like, it's not bad. It's not great.
It's all right. It's not.
Yeah, it's there. It exists.
It's you can definitely do a lot worse.
There's a lot of potential with it, and it could have been a flawless movie with some subtle changes here and there.
Yeah, I definitely think. And if you have seen this and liked it, comment below and tell us what you thought about it, even if you didn't like it. And if you haven't seen Thunder Road already, I highly recommend it. I definitely think Thunder Road is the better movie here.
I do too. But I mean, hey, if
disagree.
the worst compliment you can, or if the worst like critique you can get for your movie is, I wish it was longer, then
Yeah.
Right.
damn, you know, because that's what I wish. I just wish it was
Yeah.
longer.
I love the tone. I love the vibe. I love the kind of like Fargo-esque.
I like werewolf.
Michael likes werewolf.
I like werewolf. Ooh.
All right.
What the fuck, Mike? I'm so mad that made me laugh.
It's a wolf.
I was like annoyed, and then I was like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Watch Thunder Road. Watch The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Happy Halloween.
Happy hello.
Do you guys have any last minute Halloween recommendations for people listening? I hope this will be out on
Trick
Halloween.
or treat without a mask, spread corona.
If you
I meant movies.
Oh.
If you also like werewolf movies, you should watch
Oh.
you should watch An American Werewolf in London.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's one
I
of
have a
the best.
question. This isn't a Q&A, but I just have a question. What's the best scary movie candy combo for Halloween?
Scary movie candy combo?
Dark chocolate Milky Way.
Okay, I dig it. With?
Shit.
Sponge underwater.
All right.
It's retarded.
The Nightmare Before Christmas and like an orange lollipop.
Okay.
I don't fucking know. That's a really tough question.
Well, you should tell
It
us
is a
because
tough-
you obviously have a
No, I
answer.
don't. I don't.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say Hocus Pocus.
I thought of a really practical answer.
That's my.
Focus Focus by Focus?
No. That's my Halloween answer. Like best. Stop.
Stop.
That's like the best Halloween movie combo
How about-
is Hocus Pocus.
How about E.T. and Reese's Pieces?
I don't know if that's a Halloween movie. If
Yeah,
I'm
I
being
don't know.
honest.
I don't know. It's a little scary.
How about Vine Avenue and Twizzlers?
Oh my god. Scary movie candy combo. That's tough.
How about Jaws
Peanut M&Ms.
and Nutter Butters? I don't know.
How about the movie Cats and then an apple with a razor blade inside?
Fuck.
Ow.
Go follow our shit.
No questions?
No
No
questions?
questions.
Hey, fuck
We
you
don't have any
guys.
fans.
Give us some questions.
It's true.
Make us feel worthy.
Yeah, if you have any questions, leave it down in the comments below. Let us know what your favorite Halloween movies are and your favorite candy movie combo for Halloween. We couldn't even answer that question. Popcorn with M&Ms mixed together and the Bee Movie. Happy Halloween. Oh, he's got a gag. What is it, Kyle? Are you praying? What? No.
You're all gonna die tonight.
Stop!
And then I shit everywhere. It's like the Evil Dead thing. Yeah. And this is the part where the music goes.